On the very day of my 68th birthday, my daughter-in-law locked me in the basement. No birthday wishes, not even a slice of cake, only cold darkness and chilling silence. But what she didn't know was I had raised a child on my own, survived the death of my husband, and I would never let anyone reduce me to someone forgotten. I have returned, and this time, I came to take back everything that belongs to me. My name is Dilys Monroe, 68 years old, living in the quiet suburbs of Bennington, Vermont. After my husband passed away from a stroke 4 years ago, I moved in with my son, Evan, and his wife, Saridwin. At first, I never thought I would live with my children. I was still healthy, my memory was intact, and I could take care of myself. But Evan insisted, "Come stay with us, Mom. We have an extra room, and I just don't feel at ease knowing you're alone." I trusted my son's filial heart. And honestly, at the beginning, things were quite pleasant. Saridwin was an intelligent woman, worked in real estate, soft-spoken and graceful. She often asked what I liked to eat, sometimes baked with me, and occasionally brought tea to my room in the afternoon. But that feeling of being out of place, it slowly crept in, day by day. There were 3 people in the house, but only 2 had any say. I was rarely consulted, even for the smallest things. Saridwin decided the meals, picked the movies for the evening, and even rearranged my closet under the excuse of keeping the house tidy. One morning, I went into the kitchen to make coffee, something I've done for the past 30 years. Saridwin walked in, gave a small smile, but her eyes betrayed discomfort. "Let me make it, Mom. You should rest. This machine's a bit tricky. I'd hate for you to get burned." I froze for a moment. I knew how to use that machine. In fact, I was the one who showed her how to grind the right beans when she first moved in. But I didn't argue. I stepped back from the kitchen and slowly walked to my room. Little things like that kept piling up. I no longer had the gate key. Only Saridwin checked the mailbox now. And my phone. My son had helped me set it to restrict incoming calls, to avoid annoying telemarketers. I gradually became like a piece of furniture, present but easily forgotten. At some dinners, there were only 2 people having conversations. I sat there, chewing bite after bite, with no one asking what I thought or how my day had gone. And then a special day was approaching, my 68th birthday. I hoped for something. A small cake, a family meal, or even just a birthday wish from Evan. But I misjudged the woman I once thought was kind and thoughtful. And the day that should have been the gentlest of the year turned into the beginning of a nightmare in the basement's darkness. That day began like any other. I woke up early, walked down to the living room with a tiny bit of hope that Evan or Saridwin might remember it was my birthday. I wasn't expecting a party, just a simple greeting. Even a small card would have made me feel remembered. But the kitchen was completely empty. No scent of baking, no clinking of spoons against cups. Only a note stuck on the fridge. "Mom, could you please go down to the basement and get the old Christmas box for me? It's in the far left corner. I want to redecorate the living room." Saridwin. I paused. Redecorating the living room in early April? But I didn't ask. I put on my shoes, grabbed a flashlight, and opened the basement door. The basement was old and musty, the smell of dampness still lingering despite Evan having it repaired a few years ago. I fumbled around looking for the old box, but before I could turn back, the door slammed shut behind me. The sound of the lock clicked, dry, firm. I called out, at first calmly, "Saridwin? Evan?" But as the minutes passed and no one responded, I began banging on the door, then shouting louder and louder. No one came. No one answered. I checked my phone. The signal was weak, and the battery was down to a single bar. My hands trembled as I dialed Evan's number. It rang, but no one picked up. I left a short voicemail, my voice slightly shaking. Evan, I'm locked in the basement. If you hear this, please come home early. I'm scared. I sank to the cold tile floor. No blanket. No water. No explanation. Just darkness and silence. I tried to stay calm, partly because I knew I didn't have the strength to panic, and partly because my mind began piecing together fragments from months past, strange calls from the bank I never understood, Sir Ridwin mentioning vacant rooms at nursing homes, losing my key to the front door last month, and now the basement. I asked myself, was this an accident or something planned? As night fell, the basement grew colder than usual. I curled up, trying to recall every corner of this basement, where I used to store Evan's toys, our family keepsakes, even the first love letter my husband sent while stationed in the army. Amid the darkness and memories, I spotted a faint detail, a small, square ventilation screen on the wall behind the broken furnace. I had never paid attention to it before, but now it appeared like a question mark, or maybe a way out, and I began crawling toward it. I reached the vent, breathing heavily, and knelt down close to the floor. It was coated in dust, thick layers of cobwebs clinging to the edges. But I didn't care. I tapped gently on the vent's rim, still solid, but rusted with age. If only I had something sharp to pry it open. I reached into the pocket of my sweater and found a small silver coin, the kind I always kept for buying produce at the weekend market. I held the coin tightly and began scraping hard at the screws. Twa Kong beat Mat Bao Lao. Ko, the Mottting. Ko the Han. Te Twara Mao. Vi Twa Dao Noi Moi Kai Gap Nuoi. And Hung Koi Kung. Ming Lutz Kung Bang Are. Ku Mottting Catch Ko Kok Trong Kong Jan Yanong. Twa Luan Nuoi Veo. Cham. Can then Tung Chud Mot. Lung Twa Tsao Rat Vivet Gi Set. Quanao Rach Tok Cho Bong. Mui and Mok Boc. Len Nong Nac. And Hung Twa Siu the Buthio Ben Nong. Kong Phi Vi Hai Vong. Ma Vi Twa Tu Choi Lam Mot Nuoi by Jiam Ham Trong Chin Goi Na Kwa Min. Koi Kung. Twa Tim Duok Kwa Fu Dan Ra San Sao. Mot Kan Kwa Go Lao Roy Kong Dung Toi. Twa De Man. Dung Ca Ko the Di Veo. Kwa Mora Voi Tieng. Ren. Ri Kwa Ban. Lu. Va Tuan Gang Dao Hit Mot Hoi That Sao. Kong Kai Ben Nguai Lan. And Hung It Ra Du La Tu Du. Twa Kong Vi Na Nai. Twa Kong Goi Evan. Twa Kung Kong Tim. Kan Sat. Twa Di Bo Ba Dai Na. Tim Den Kan Na No Mao Trang Koi Fo. Noi Song Kwa Alice Perkins. Ben the Not Kwa Twa Tu Thoi Konde Hak. Alice Tung. La Lut Su Hu Tri. Song Mot Min Sao Kai Chong Mat. Chung Twa Da Kong Gap. Now Mei Thang. And Hung Kai Twa Biuk Kwa Kan Kwa Na Ba Voi Guang Mat Tai Not Va Te Rum Mao. Alice Chi Thought Len. Sir Ridwin Twa Gat Dao. Chung Tuan Goi Lai Trong Bep. Twa Ku Tung Chuyen Mot. Tu Vik by Kim So Tai Koan Nan Hong. Kong Duok Jadain Tho I Riang. Cho Den Vik by Not. Alice Kong Noi New. And Hung on Mat Ba I Sak Lai. Ba Veo Fong. Lei Ra Mot Quan So Te. Mot Cheek Dain Tho I See You. Va Mot Loi Kuyen. Dung Voi Noi John. Nu Chow Dam Lam the Voi Ka. Timin Kanchuan by the Lei Lai Moi Thursday Mot Catch Dang Hong. Ko Chung Siu Va Kong de No Choi Kai. Throughout the following week, we prepared in silence. Alice taught me how to record phone calls, how to retrieve bank statements from accounts under my name. It turned out Sir Ridwin had transferred nearly $12,000 from my retirement fund into her personal account. She had also emailed a senior care facility, requesting a pickup for a mother-in-law who was no longer mentally sound. I took screenshots of everything, I recorded old conversations from Saridwin's phone. The same phone I once saw her unlock using her own birthday as the password. Evan still had no idea. He still believed his wife was considerate, still thought his mother was a little sensitive because of her age. But I didn't blame my son. Not now. I didn't need Evan to choose sides. I needed the truth to come to light. In a way the whole town would know who had been manipulated and who had orchestrated this family charade. And that morning, that first Monday of the week, was when I walked back into that house. But this time, not as a silent, elderly mother. I came back with Alice's lawyer, a local police officer, and a complete file in hand. And I was ready to take back everything that belonged to me. I stepped into the house I had lived in for the past 4 years with a different feeling. No longer with resignation, no longer with quiet steps hiding in kitchen corners. Every step I took that day was built from cold nights in the basement, from every time I had to smile through veiled insults. Saridwin was sitting on the couch, a coffee mug in her hand. She looked up as the door opened. Her eyes froze for a moment. But quickly, she regained her composure, as if nothing had happened. "Oh, Mother, you're back? We were so worried. You left without a word for a whole week." I didn't answer. I placed the file folder on the coffee table, my eyes never leaving her. Behind me stood Mr. Harlan McCoy, the retired attorney Alice had recommended, and Officer Amelia Trent, the one I had filed the report with earlier in the week. Evan came down the stairs. My son's face was frozen in shock when he saw me. Perhaps he still believed I was off, resting for a few days, as his wife had told him. He stammered. "Mom, where have you been all week?" Saridwin said. I cut him off, gently but firmly. "I was locked in the basement. Evan, on my birthday." The room fell completely silent. Saridwin's face paled slightly, though she forced a nervous smile. "What are you talking about? You must be mistaken. You locked the door yourself. I never." Attorney McCoy opened the folder, pulling out bank statements, an audio recording of Saridwin's voice in her message to the care facility, and even the pre-filled power of attorney document just waiting for my signature. Officer Trent spoke slowly, clearly enough for Evan and Saridwin to grasp every word. "Mrs. Monroe has filed charges for unlawful confinement, financial fraud, and elder abuse. We are launching an official investigation. Ms. Saridwin, please come with us to the station to give your statement." Saridwin stood up, about to protest. But my gaze froze her in place. I was no longer the quiet, compliant mother-in-law she could control. I met her eyes that once looked up from the depths, and now stood tall again, with a straight spine and dignity fully intact. Evan said nothing. His hands were shaking. I saw him glance down at the open folder, where each piece of evidence lay undeniable. I didn't blame him in that moment. He was my son, but his complacency had slowly suffocated the mother who once raised him with her bare hands. Saridwin walked out of the house with the police. The door closed, and the house fell into silence. I turned to Evan. He was about to speak, but I raised my hand to stop him. I didn't want apologies. No tears were needed. What I needed was awakening. And if Evan still loved his mother, he would find the way to do what's right through his actions. I left that house the very same day. Not because I had no right to stay, but because I no longer wished to live in a place that had turned into a prison. I stayed in Alice's small cabin near the pine woods, where the morning birds sang, the wind rustled across the wooden porch, and the air smelled of cinnamon rolls every evening. A week later, Evan came to see me. He didn't say much, just sat at the kitchen table, face weary, eyes red. I poured him a cup of tea. The two of us sat in silence, the kind we hadn't shared in so long. At last, he whispered, "I didn't see. Can you forgive me, Mom?" I placed my hand over his. I didn't say yes or no. I only said one thing. Next time someone tells you your mother forgot the way home, believe she still remembers every brick she laid in that house. Evan nodded. Then he left, like a man relearning how to be a son. My lawsuit didn't make the front page. But in a small town like this, everyone knew. I didn't have to retell everything. People only needed to know I didn't disappear. I wasn't forgotten. And I didn't stay silent. So Ridwin received a suspended sentence and was ordered to return the misappropriated funds. She also lost her professional license due to ethical violations. I didn't feel vindictive. I just felt relieved. One morning in early June, I sat on the cabin porch, notebook in hand. I had started writing everything down, not to complain, but to remember that I had once been fragile and once been strong. When a sparrow landed on the fence in front of me, I smiled. I thought about my upcoming birthday. Maybe no cake, no candles, but there would be freedom. A room with no locks. Sunlight pouring in through the window each morning. I whispered to myself, voice as soft as the breeze. I don't need anyone's pity. I just need respect. And now, I have both.